Thanks for joining us in this webinar. This is the first day of the ACES at Home event. It's an event aimed for the community. So 12 ACES between Oracle ACE Director and Oracle ACES. In this first iteration of this event, I'm going to talk to you about three different main topics: analytics, Apex, and database, over the next 3 afternoons. As we said, this is the first trial that we do of this kind of web event, and I hope you will appreciate and you will support us in the future events that we will try to organize. So, said that, I'm going to start with my session first, and I'm going to talk to you about, for the next 40-45 minutes, how you will be able to upgrade to OAS, the why and the hows. So let's start. First of all, something about me. I don't know if you know me, but I'm Francesco Tisiot, the analytics tech lead of a company in the UK called Rhythm & Meet. The company is the UK, but I'm living in Verona. At this moment, I'm still at home. You can find a lot of the blogs that I write in the Rhythm & Meet blog post. You have the URL there, and you can find me on Twitter and in any other social media. Since last July, I'm also being appointed as Oracle ACE Director. As I said before, Oracle ACE is a program that Oracle used to recognize the people that are providing good community input. So we, as Oracle ACES, we try to give to the community as much knowledge as we have. Something about my company, it's called Rhythm & Meet. As I said, it's based in the UK, but we work worldwide. We focus on mainly 3 pillars. The first one is data engineering. So we take the data from any source and we move it to any target, doing a lot of transformation in the meantime. We do analytics. We started in the business of analytics over 10 years ago, and with what was called at the time centralized BI reporting, and now we do all the old school reporting plus all the new school reporting in terms of self-service analytics and so on. And the third pillar is data science. We have several data scientists within our company, and we basically help our clients solving problems in data science. We teach them how to solve them, so the next time they can do by their own. So we have several different offerings around these three areas that can help our customers to progress in the analytics and data science path. So let's talk about Oracle Analytics and Upgrade. The first question that you have to ask yourself is where you are now. Where you are now, it can be a broad range of answers. First of all, location-wise, but that doesn't matter because we are on the cloud. We can, as you are now on a webinar, so we can work together, or you can work by yourself in any kind of position. Where you are now is more in terms of what platform are you at this moment on. The first option could be you are already on Oracle Analytics Cloud, which is, as we will see later, the latest and shiniest product in the analytics space from Oracle. Most of our customers are not still in the cloud, are in something that is still on-premise, and if you are in OBIEE, it was called OBIEE 12c, which is the latest version of OBIEE on-premises. Not all our customers are on the latest release because, you know, every time you do an upgrade, you have to take time to do the upgrade path itself, to check that everything goes well, to move all your customers or your stakeholders from one platform to the other, depending how you do the upgrade. So we have still some customers which are on an older release of OBIEE, which the previous version was called OBIEE 11G. Summing 12c and 11G and OAC still doesn't match the 100% of every possible Oracle Analytics customer, because there are still clients or people using OBIEE with what it was called 10G, which is a version that was outdated by, I believe, now it's almost 10 years. Still, understanding where you are basically will allow you to understand how many steps you will have to do to upgrade to the latest version of Oracle Analytics. So we understood that we have to move to somewhere. What is the somewhere that we are talking about? What is Oracle Analytics Server? Well, as I said, it's Oracle Analytics Server. Oracle because comes from Oracle. Analytics because it's an analytical platform. By default, it's an empty analytical platform. So you will have to push your data, start doing your analytics on top of it. And the last bit is server because until a few months ago, all what we had from Oracle Analytics, the new wave of analytics in the Oracle world was the cloud. In this case, we are talking about a server installation. So it's something that you can basically install in your data center. You don't have to move everything to the cloud. Oracle Analytics Server is part of the Oracle Analytics product family, which includes the cloud version, as I said, the server version. So you have the option to deploy that to the cloud as well as on premises. And also you have Oracle Analytics for Application, which is the same sort of concept of the analytical platform, but with pre-filled content in order to attach to Oracle data sources, basically. Let's have a look at what is Oracle Analytics Cloud, because it's what we in the Oracle family have been familiar with since a long time. Oracle Analytics Cloud is, as I said, an empty analytical platform. You have to put your data in and start doing analytics. However, it's one of the few, or maybe the unique analytical platforms that solves both the type of analytics, both the ways of doing analytics in the current era. And the two ways are the classic. The classic wave of analytics is basically your business user, they write a document stating what they want, they handle the documentation to the IT department, which takes, for example, from 3 to 6 months to develop data warehouse, a series of modeling in the RPD and a set of dashboards, which then are used by the business. This was the phase until a few years back. The new phase is what is called modern self-service. The business user wants to have the power to build everything by his own. So it doesn't want to wait 3 months or needing to involve the IT department. It wants to get from the raw data set until the insights by itself. Oracle Analytics Cloud, and as we will see, Server, now ships both the solutions for both the problems. So allows you to do centralized as well as modern. The classic, as I said, it's IT-centric. So the business will see the data, will be able to do some self-service analytics, but the core stays in the hands of the IT department. In Oracle Analytics, the experience is very similar to the OBIEE 12c. So you have an RPD, a central metadata model, and you have analysis and dashboard where user can create their own content. The dashboards can be interactive, so you can add prompts, you can add navigations, you can have agents that are scheduled and can deliver, for example, to an email every day at 8 a.m. the same report. And then you have also BI Publisher, which provides pixel perfect reporting on top of whatever content you expose via OBIEE. At the same time, within the same tool, you have also the modern data discovery. So you have a tool called Data Flows, which allows you to connect to any data source and create mini ETL pipelines in order to transform the data. As I said, mini ETL pipelines, data flow is not the replacement of a proper ETL tool like ODI. It's for the business users to start connecting to data, start doing small transformations, and to create repeatable flows that allows them to recreate the same transformation over and over again. And then we have data visualization, which is a tool to create amazing visualization without the need of almost knowing anything about the tool set. They just have to drag and drop columns that can come from like databases, Excel files. They can mesh them together and create, for example, bar charts or even map views without any setting. The good thing is that also this set of projects, this set of visualization can be easily shared with other coworkers with just few clicks. As I said, OSC is cool because it gives everything within the same platform. So you have the benefits of both the words. For example, you have the benefits of having a centralized reporting managed by IT for the critical KPIs. So those critical KPIs can be created only once and report always the same number. So you achieve the unique source of truth. That was one of the key concepts of the centralized BI platform. And also in special cases where you need to provide specific access control, let's think about, I don't know, HR data sets, where only the manager can see the data of the people below him, you can easily do that with the centralized part of Oracle Analytics. On the other side, within the same platform, you also achieve the self-service option. So you have the option to do free discovery on top of almost any data source. You have option to do data enrichment and data cleaning with easy ETL, mini ETL pipelines. And you can basically achieve insights starting from any raw data set that you can connect to. And I did a talk last year about trying to find the balance between self-service and centralized analytics in a huge organization. And you can find in the link there all the details about this. By the way, we are going to share both the recording and also the slides in a later step. So what's new in OAS? I've been in an Oracle Analytics platform, probably OBIEE 12c, in my data center since a while. Why should I move to OAS? There are a few things that are new. First one is licensing. We will see all the details of each point in later slides. As of now, I'm only giving you hints about what's new. Second option, visualization. We will see later that we have a huge amount of new visualization and options available. Data flows. Data flows were there already in one of the latest 12c release on premises. There are big enhancements in data flows with OAS. Also settings, some settings change, the options, the way that you change setting are changing if you move to OAS compared to OBIEE. And latest, there are a lot of options about augmented analytics and machine learning that we will see in detail later. Licensing. I believe a lot of you have been using OBIEE 12c, and for example, as of now, they wanted to do self-service analytics with what was called data visualization, or they wanted to do mobile stuff. Until OBIEE 12c, both those tools were having a separate license. So you have to purchase OBIEE, and on top of OBIEE, you have to purchase per user, for example, licenses of DV or of mobile. This is all gone with Oracle Analytics Server, where now you have one unique license that you have to purchase. So you purchase the license for OAS and you are done. You have all the features included. Visualizations, there are tons of examples. So you need to understand that Oracle Analytics Server basically took all the features, almost all the features that you had in Oracle Analytics Cloud and pushed them on premises. So for people who were working on OBIEE 12c, it's like a gap of feature of more than 1 year, probably. Something like the butterfly visualization. This is one of my favorites, the empty visualization, which allows you to manage really well all the spaces around your project. And then you have a lot of options to customize any font of any visualization. And also, an easy access to maps where you can really use the maps just by dragging fields into the canvas, or if you want to upload custom maps, you can do that as well really, really easily. For data flows, as I said before, this product was already available on OBIEE 12c, but now we went from something that like the image that we have on screen now to a set of more rich options that you have in data flow. So not only we have a tool that is able to do ETL pipelines, now we have a lot more options in the steps that we can do while doing the ETL pipelines. As I said, also settings. in settings, you have two things that you can change. First of all, as I said before, you have much deeper control of every visualization. For example, as you like in my pivot table, you have the option to set columns in yellow and rows in light blue. It's not really nice to see, but it's just an option that now you have and before you didn't have. Also, other type of settings, when we are installing OAS, we also get the console, which is available in OAC, that allows us to change the type of maps, for example, add extensions, and also change some parameter server settings from the web console. On top of this, we have also all the augmented analytics capabilities that we had in OAC, starting from the data enrichment suggestion. So the tool itself, when I connect to a data source, will suggest some enrichment. For example, if I attach to a city name, he will suggest to add the zip code, and it will be automatically generated by the tool. I don't have to find a data source to do the conversion. Then I have also the one-click advanced analytics. If I have, for example, a line chart, with just a right click, I can say, I want the forecast for the next 3 months. There is the option also to do a natural language processing. For example, I want the sales by country, and it will create the appropriate visualization instead of me going and trying to create the visualization itself. And then there is the option, which is called explain. Explain is a very, very useful option. You can right-click on any column in your dataset and click on explain. Explain will tell you some basic facts about the column itself. In this case, I was checking a dataset which was containing good and bad wines, and is already telling me that bad wines are 62% and good wines are 38%. And it's also telling me that, for example, the average price for a good wine is much, much higher than the average price of a bad wine. On top of this, it gives you also more information. For example, in this case, it's telling me that the statistically significant drivers of my good and bad column are the region and the country where a wine is produced. This is key information if I want then to build some machine learning on top of my dataset to try to predict future wines based on the information that I have. As I said, I want to predict, so I want to do machine learning. As part of data flow, we have a big set of options for doing machine learning pipelines. So depending on the problem that I'm trying to solve, I will either select to train a numeric prediction model, a multi-classifier, a binary classifier, or a clustering model. And then within each basically problem that I'm trying to solve, I will be able to select which algorithm I would like to use to solve the problem. Within each algorithm, I will be able also to select which parameters to use. So you can create ETL pipelines within the tool, within the same tool that you use for analytics, and have a really high level of customization in the way that you create the model. You create the model, but then the following step is to evaluate the model. Again, OAC and OAS does a really good job because they provide you all the details about how the model is behaving. In this case, in a case of classification, it will provide the confusion metrics. So the amount of, and it will tell you the amount of matching predictions and the amount of not matching predictions based on a test dataset. When you create the model, then it's really easy to use it within your data. You have just to, when you are analyzing the data where you want to apply the model, you just have to click on the plus that you see on the top left and to click on create scenario. You select then the model that you want to use. You need to do some mapping of the model used to create the, of the columns created to create the model and the columns that you have available in your dataset. And then the predictions are just an extra field that you can drag and drop in any visualization. So we understood what is coming, the huge set of new feature. Now we need to understand why to move to OAS. Why, even if you have a working platform, why should you move there? There are several different points that you need to be aware. The first one is support. If you are on a OBIEE 11G or not in the latest 12C version, you are probably out of support from Oracle, which means that if nothing breaks, then you are fine. But if something breaks, either you pay for an extended support or you have to solve the issues by yourself. If you move to Oracle Analytics Server, then it means that you have support for very, very long time. Then, of course, as we said before, you have all the new features coming. So if you have to enable real self-service analytics, then you should move to OAS because the feature gap is big compared even to the latest OBIEE 12C release. Then maybe an option is you want all the new feature, you want to be in support, but you need to stay in the data center, so you cannot move to the cloud. OAS is there for you. You can have your analytical platform right in your data center. Another bit, when you talk about moving to the cloud, the benefits of the cloud is to create an instance with one click, have everything working or automatically patched by Oracle. In order to do that, you need to lose a little bit of control over your platform. For example, if you move to OAC, you will not be able to access every single log file that you have in your platform as you were used to have in your data center. If you still want to have the full control over the platform, have the control on top of every single log file, then OAS is there for you. And also, if you had, for example, huge set of customization, some of them are not yet achievable in OAC, but they are always achievable with OAS because all the functionality, almost all the functionality which we had in OBIEE 12C is available in OAS. As I said, almost all the functionality because there are a little bit of limitations. First one, if you were or are still using scorecard and strategy management, well, bad news for you, that part is de-supported and no longer available in the product. You will not find it in OAS. If you were using Oracle marketed segmentation, that is deprecated. Look at the wording here. I will say a little bit more later on. BA Scheduler Job Manager, also deprecated. The Act As, which was a really useful functionality, which allowed, for example, an administrator to act as a particular user, for example, to check why the user wasn't looking at correct data, that is also deprecated. BA SQL Group Provider, which was a way of sourcing the groups from acquiring a database, is also deprecated. The same for system session variables. You may notice that the first one, scorecard and strategy management, is desupported and no longer available, which means that it's no longer in the product. All the rest is still there. And when asked to the Oracle PMs, they clearly said that they're still there, they will be there until a proper replacement will be in place. If you want to know more about the limitation, there is a URL at the bottom of this slide that will tell you all the details, all the differences between what was available in OBIEE 12C and what is available in OAS. So we understood why to move. Now it's time to do the installation of our server. We first need to check that we meet all the prerequisites. And for OAS, we have basically three. First one, OS. As of now, OAS is available only under Linux. A Windows version will come later in the year. Second, database. As of now, OAS is supported only on top of Oracle databases, version 11.2 and after. Again, support for other type of databases is coming later. And then JDK. So we need to have the JDK 1.8 specific version in order to install the software. The prerequisites are, this is the basic set of prerequisites. Of course, if you need to migrate from an existing system, you will have to understand the load of the existing system and to try to size the server accordingly. When you install, you have always to remember to set the correct folder structure. I'm putting this slide in the deck because by default, the installation wizard will guide you to a wrong folder structure. So As example, we start from home Oracle, where we are going to install the software. Then we create a subfolder called product, and then a subfolder called Oracle Analytics Server 5.5, which is the current release. This is called the Oracle home. The next step is to create a configuration home. By default, the installer will try to create the configuration home under the Oracle home. But you shouldn't do that. You should create a separate set of separate folder structure in order to contain the domain home. Why? Well, because if you create the domain home under the Oracle home, under OAS 5.5, when OAS 5.6 come out, you have a weird dependency between different folders and the domain home. So that's why it's suggested also by Oracle to create the domain home outside the Oracle home. Installation is very similar to any 12c installation. First you install the JDK, then you install the Fusion middleware, basically the web logic. Then it's time to install the binaries of Oracle Analytics Server. At this point of time, you need to create what is called the RCU, which are the repository schemas that are used by OBIEE to work. And then you run the Oracle Analytics Server configuration. You can also do step 4, which is the RCU creation, within step 5 during the configuration. However, I found that you have a lot more flexibility in creating the schemas if you run the RCU by itself and then the configuration. I wrote a blog post about how to install via GUI OAS, and you have the URL at the bottom of the slide. I believe a lot of you will be able to install easily OAS. Now it's time to talk about the upgrade, which was the main topic of the whole session. Let's talk about the upgrade path, because depending on where you are at the moment, it will also dictate which steps you will need to do in order to upgrade to OAS. So you want to go to OAS, and you have at this point 2 options. If you are on the latest OBIEE 12.2.1.4, you can do an Inplace upgrade. If you are in any version before 12.2.1.4, you are forced to do an Outofplace upgrade. Let's have a look at 12c in particular. You want to go to OAS. If you are on OBIEE 12.2.1.4, then you can do an Inplace. But if you are on an earlier version, for example, the 12.2.1.2.0, you can still do an Inplace to 12.2.1.4 and then another Inplace to OAS. So the longer you are far from the latest OBIEE version, the more steps you need to do in order to do an upgrade to OAS. From 11G or from any 12C, which is not the latest version of 12C, you always have the opportunity to do what is called an out-of-place upgrade. So you still want to go to OAS. If you are on the 11.1.1.9 plus, you can create an export file and include the export file in OAS directly. However, if you are not in the latest OBIEE 11G, you need to do a 2-step. You need to move from, for example, the 11.1.1.7 to the 11.1.1.9 plus, and then migrate the content to OAS. So as before, the far you are from the latest release, the more steps you will have to do. So I've been saying what in place or out of place, what those two mean. Well, in place means that you are installing OAS on top of OBIEE. Out of place, you are installing OAS alongside the existing OBIEE. Let's see the pros and the cons of each solution. First of all, if you do an in place, you keep all the security settings. So for example, if you had an external identity provider, all the settings are still there for you. On the other side, if you do an out of place, you have to review and redo security settings. As you see, I put that in yellow, not in red, because maybe during an upgrade, doing a change of this complexity, you may want to review if the security settings are still correct or if you want to change something. The Inplace also keeps all the component configuration. You don't have, for example, if you have a specific setting in the instance config.file, you will have the same setting ported automatically to your OAS. At the same time, if you do an Outofplace, of course, you will need to redo all the configuration because nothing is ported for that kind of, from that point of view. In the Inplace, you inherit the old installation. Many of you will say, well, inheriting the old installation is always good. But as I have been showing you, if, for example, in the old Word, you installed OAS with the not correct path set of folders, you will start finding strange dependency between folders. So sometimes inheriting the old installation is perfect. Sometimes is maybe to go to a clean state, to restart from something that is new and clean. Inplace also means that you have one-off of migrating to OAS. So you have OBIEE as of now, you migrate to OAS, and you are overwriting the existing environment. There is no way of going back until you restore a backup, basically. While with the Outofplace, you have a good option of having the new environment build alongside the existing environment, meaning that you can do parallel checks about what is working and what's not. So the Inplace option is always a good one because it allows you to do one-off, but also bear in mind that sometimes the Outofplace is also a good option when talking about an upgrade. So when you do an Inplace upgrade, the first thing that you need to do is to create a backup. A backup consists of the server itself, everything that is contained in the server, which is binaries plus, for example, the catalog and all the RPD and the other stuff, but also the schemas that you have in your database. So once you have this backup, you can then start thinking about performing the upgrade. Let's have a look at how to perform the Inplace upgrade. First thing, first of all, every time you do an upgrade, stop the servers. Then you can start the procedure of upgrading the schemas. And there is a nice flag called -readiness that allows you, before upgrading, to check if the schemas can be upgraded. Second, do an extra backup of the file containing all the map configuration, map viewer config. Then you do another backup if you didn't have these backups before of the domain. And then you start with the reconfiguration of the domain in order to reconfigure the domain as OAS will read it. And then you start upgrading the single components, for example, the BA server, the presentation server, and so on and so forth. Again, also for step 5, you have the same flag -readiness in order to check if all components are ready to be upgraded. And then the last bit, you restart the service. And everything should be okay. You have few post-upgrade tasks that you might want to perform. First one is re-enabling internal SSL, which is the SSL talking between the various internal components from the presentation server to the BI server, for example. Then you want to migrate the catalog groups. Catalog groups is an ancient feature that was coming from OBIEE 10G, and was somehow kind of deprecated, but always in the tool in 11G, 12C, and so on. I suggest if you are still using catalog groups, start rethinking about redesigning your security. And then you have to re-enable, for example, the HTML markup, which allows developers to write HTML within the dashboard pages. This is all the stuff that you need to do for the Inplace. There is nothing else. On the other side, the Outofplace, if you start, for example, from the 11.119, you create an export bundle, a tar file containing the security, the RPT, and the catalog, and you import that in OAS. This is all you have to do for the Outofplace. However, the post-upgrade task for Outofplace is far, far richer than the Inplace. First of all, you have to move all the configurations that you had in your existing environment to the new environment, for example, all the rows that you can export to Excel, configuration, you have to redo them in the new environment. Then you have to reset the security. So if you were attaching to Active Directory, you have to redo that setting too. And then any kind of custom images, messages, or custom setting that you have around, you have to redo them as well in the new platform. There are already some OAS known bugs. I'm listing 2 of them that were mentioned by Joel Hatcher, a friend. For example, the first one is when you move to OAS, then you try to change some system settings, it will throw an error that the property update is failed for the user not being authorized. And the other one is basically every data flow starting failing when you move to OAS. As you know, the product is out since a couple of months now, maybe a little bit less. So we will see more and more bugs and workarounds being published. So even if you find some problems there, just raise an SR and Oracle support will help you out. So we understood how to take our existing analytical platform to OAS. The last bit is I need to validate that all the content that was working before needs to work even now. So I need to do the testing. In most of the customers, this is done by asking the business and someone from the IT department to go over each and every analysis and dashboard and to check that everything is correct. However, this is not the best way of doing that. The best way is to do automation on top of testing. You can have automation tools that goes and check parts of the functionality of the analytical platform for you instead of you doing it. Oracle provides the Oracle Baseline Validation tool, which is meant to do automated testing. But as of now, there is a document in the Oracle support that said that is not supported for OAC and OAS. Within RhythmMid, we have our regression testing tool that works with OAS and OAC too. So instead of you asking a person from the IT or a person from the business to go over and test every single functionality, start automating the testing and start also checking if you can solve some of the issues that probably will arise, especially if you are in a OBIEE version, which is not the latest one. Another hint about testing, the regression testing tool or the baseline validation or any kind of automated testing will allow you to test some of the feature. For example, that a dashboard will have the same results or kind of the same visualization or the same, that there are no errors between various dashboards. But you will still need some kind of manual testing, for example, to ask a user to mimic the creation of an analysis and to check that everything is working as expected. So plan for user testing, but also start doing automated testing. A big thing, especially in customers where the history of development on the OBIEE side is long, is that you want, for example, to automate the testing, but you have a huge catalog. For example, 10,000 analysis or 1,000 folders. You can do the test on top of the whole catalog, but it will take time, not only to do the test itself, but also to review all the logs of the testing if you do the automated one. Our suggestion is to create a testing suite which contains an example for every, for example, subject area or feature that you are exposing, and create a subset of analysis that you are calling testing suite, and you will do testing only against those. Basically create a subset of analysis that shows all the functionality that you are willing to expose, but is not like 10,000 folders and a million analysis. Is not running the automated testing against all your catalog. The same discussion as before is, if you see this slide, it looks like for me a workspace where a person has been working for a long time. And this is the case if you have been working with OBIEE since the last 10 years. You will have a lot of stuff in your catalog, in your RPD. But if you check, most of the stuff is not used. So one thing that you need to do before even planning the upgrade is to understand what is used and what is not within your platform. How you understand that? Well, you have options within Oracle Analytics Server to track whatever users are doing. If you check what the users have been using in your analytical platform in the last 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, you can also understand which parts of the catalog and of the RPD you can safely remove and delete. And if you remove the stuff from OBIEE, maybe you will be able to remove stuff from DTL as well. This has huge implications because if you, for example, I've seen cases where only 30% of the catalog was used. If you reduce the amount of stuff that you have to check and to fix by 70%, you are gaining a lot of time. So before planning the upgrade, start already immediately tracking what users are doing and also ask to the business what functionality they are still using. Once you have this idea clear in mind, then you can understand what's the amount of effort that is required to check and validate all the functionality which is still relevant within your analytical platform. So we understood all the points. As I said, first of all, understand the content, really understand what is relevant as of now in your company and what can be discarded. It's the latest slide that I put on the deck, but it's actually the first item that you need to do in order to plan an upgrade. Second, check the server. You need to check that your server has the right prerequisite and the database is correct, but also that the server can handle the load that you are putting on top of it. Just have a think about a session in the self-service area could be more resource eating than a session in the centralized BI area. So plan also for an increase of the resources that are needed to serve all your customers. Then, once you understood the content and the server, then you have to understand what is your starting point. We have been talking about which version of OBIEE you are in, and depending on that, which steps and how many steps you have to perform to arrive to OAS. And then, once you understood the starting point, you have to plan the path. You have to plan when I'm starting with my developer environment, when doing the UAT, when doing the production, and do intermediate steps to check that everything is okay in each platform. If you have done all of this, then you are in a very good position to start doing the upgrade to Oracle Analytics Server. RhythmMid, I'm part of RhythmMid. As I said, we offer free OAS assessment, which is 2 days of our work to check if you are ready to move to OAS and what will be the pain points. And you can have more details in the URL there. And also we have a Jumpstart OAS upgrade offer that we can offer to you in order to start working on the upgrade itself. So we can work on finding the good set of prerequisites, understanding how much of your catalog is still relevant until doing the proper upgrade and bug fixing with you. And this is the last slide. If you have any question, I will now review questions. So if you have any questions, I believe you will be able to write them in the chat and I will try my best to reply to all of them. Let me check questions. Okay, I see quite some number of questions.
Yeah, most of the questions have been answered by Christian while you were doing the
Okay,
talk.
perfect. So is there any question which is not answered?
Maybe simply go over them again so that people can hear them answered out loud. I don't know whether everybody has the question and answers window open.
Are all the questions in the chat? Oh no, I see also Q&A.
It's in the Q&A. It's in the Q&A.
Okay. So first, I see 2 new open. Are there any new features for developers to support parallel RPD development and deployment? No. So the RPD development is one-to-one with the one in 12c. There are tools. There is something provided by RhythmMate. There are also other tools around which will allow you to do parallel RPD development and deployment with, for example, source control of the RPD changes and the catalog changes. Another question is when I expect OAS binaries in IXOS. I don't know. I didn't hear anything about IX. I don't know, Christian or Gianni, if you have any other news regarding that.
No. Let's just say on no.
No. Do we have ability to add any custom data visualization component in order to enrich the visualization? So if you are familiar with OAC, there is a website, Oracle Analytics, what's the correct name, Christian? Oracle Analytics Library, which contains customized visualization. I believe the same principle works also on OAS, so you will be able to create custom visualization and include them in the tool. Mark is asking, is high availability still handled by WebLogic as in OBIEE 11? I don't think there are changes regarding that. So the same the architecture is kind of the same between 11G and 12C for that. I don't see any changes on that. Any changes done on the OBIEE APIs in OAS? So there are some APIs which are available in OAC since a while regarding the self-service area, which allow you to, for example, to query which data sources you created or which ETL pipelines you created. I believe those will be ported or are already ported to OAS. However, the detail about that is, as of now, with the self-service, even through the APIs, you will be able only to query whatever you already created or whatever is shared to you. So if you are thinking about administrator level APIs, they will not be there. I believe
Gianni has an input on this question, I think.
Yep. Gianni?
No, I'm just marking them unanswered live because you're not doing it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. I believe, so there is no difference between OASC and OAS in terms of features. There are something which there is in OAC and not in OAS, which as of now, I believe is the natural language generation. So the generation of a text out of a data set. But I would say 99% of the features which are in OAC are also in OAS. As Christian said, we expect, or the PM said clearly that there will be an earlier, release of OAS every year, which will do feature gap with OAC. Is data source include web services? I believe Christian replied already. There is no option as of now, and he uploaded an image with the connection possibilities. The day by day is not part of OAS, is only attached to OAC. What data of RCU, what data RCU is storing is again a set of information, and more is going to be pushed in the database instead of in the file system. As Christian said, the catalog is moved now in the database. So the RPD is
please
still...
don't ask us which tables, because you're not supposed to use the tables.
Yep.
You're supposed to use the APIs. This is a very important question there. Please don't go into the tables.
I believe all the... Oh, there are 3 new. No, I believe all the questions are answered. If you have any further question, you know where to reach me. Not in this Wolfenstein 3D prison, but by email or on Twitter or whatever social you want to like. Thank you very much. And I believe in 5 minutes, we start with the second session by Gianni. Thank you again.